made the switch to online music learning, some were skeptical if we'd be able to achieve the same desired outcomes as before. But after enrolling for online classes, many have realized that they are as effective, maybe even better.
Always important for you to sit uprightly, back straight, okay? Now, when you're rounding your voice, again, it's a jaw drop, okay? Not right? Not it is Hide your teeth, okay?
In the last about 2 months, we've taken time and have invested on e-learning courses and have equipped ourselves with skills needed to make online learning productive. Even when normalcy resumes, we shall be taking a more blended approach to ensure that our students are getting the best out of our programs. You give us a call, send us a message, drop us a comment down there, and we shall schedule for your class or respond to all the inquiries that you might have about our classes. Beat of the heart. Eat it, play it, sing it, live it.
One chord. Everlasting chord. Chord of life. Chord of ages. Unmovable chord. Unshakable chord. The chord of everlasting today, forever and forever. Chord of all ages.
Yes, we are good now. Okay, so I'll take us through this slide so that we will bring everyone up to speed on what we did last time. A little bit about Beat of the Heart and what we do. The Beat of the Heart, we primarily do music training. We do training for individuals. We do training for groups. We for institutions like churches. We do training for schools. So that's primarily what we do as Beat of the Heart. So Beat of the Heart also tunauza boga. No, I'm kidding. Tuuzi boga. Tunafanya tu music. But hii corona ilikuwa imefanya karibu tuanze kuuza boga. Yeah, kwa soko, but anyway. So we're doing music. And before all these things, we used to host our classes here in Kitengela. We have a place here in Kitengela. And we also had partnered with a studio in town, and we were teaching from there. And then when all this came, we saw another opportunity for us to do online classes. And the online classes have been going on well. Every day, more and more people are making the transition, and they're seeing that even online music classes are as effective. I think some would argue that it's even better, and it's been fantastic. So you'll get to know more about us as we proceed. Now, consistency better than practice. We say, there's this quote by a guy called Anthony Robbins. Say, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives. It's what we do consistently. I'll say that again. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives. It's what we do consistently, right? And I paraphrase this statement as I say, it's not what we do once a week on stage that shapes our performance. It's what we do consistently in regular personal practice. I say that again. It's not what we do once a week on stage that shapes our performance. It's what we do consistently in regular personal practice. I was very deliberate in adding their personal, because when we meet for rehearsals are not practice, they are rehearsals. That means you need to have practice at home before you join in. If you're in a worship team, for example, right? And you meet on Saturdays for rehearsals. You can't come and start learning the songs during rehearsals. That would be very unfortunate. So it is personal practice, and it needs to be regular for you to achieve your aspiration. So how important is practice as part of learning? We say mastery of knowledge is convincingly demonstrated in application much more than in dictation. That means we can talk about the things we need to do. We can talk about all the practices we need to do, the exercises we need to do. We can talk about all that. But unless we do and we prove that we can actually do, no one will ever believe that we know what we are doing, right? There's a book here that I mentioned by a guy called Josh Kaufman, and the book is The First 20 Hours, Mastering the Toughest Part of Learning Anything. So he points out that learning isn't the same thing as skill acquisition. That learning isn't the same thing as skill acquisition. I mean, you can learn about something, you can learn about what you need to do, but if you want to really acquire the skill, you have to do. So learning is studying, it's reading, it's acquiring knowledge. But if you want to master anything, learning is only the first step. To really get good at something, you have to practice. Whether it's an instrument, whether it is singing, you have to practice. So based on the foregoing arguments, we can say that practice is learning by doing. Learning by doing. And back in your mind, don't forget it's supposed to be personal practice. It starts there. They say that practice makes perfect, which means regular exercise of an activity or skill is the way to become proficient in it. And the synonyms for proficient include skilled and practice. And Pastor Jack gave an example that probably sometimes when you go on stage and it's been a while since you practice, we can actually say that you are out of practice. And it shows in what you do. Yeah, if it is playing, you're trying to play and it's not really happening. If there are scales, your scales are backfiring. If there are runs, the runs run away. Oh boy. Yeah, but because you're probably out of practice. Okay, we continue. So the assumption with that statement that practice makes perfect is that you are practicing and practicing the right thing. Because if you're practicing the wrong thing, then the end result won't necessarily be perfect. And in this case, it might be more accurate to say that practice makes permanent. Yeah. That practice can as well be defined as consistent repetition. Hence, we can say repetition makes perfect. Or more accurately, repetition makes permanent. It's very important that you make sure that you practice consistently, but again, you practice the right thing. Practice the right thing. Now, that brought us to this statement that we mentioned last time, and we said we're going to delve deeper in this. The performances are final products of weeks, months, and years of investment in practice and other resources. Yeah, and that's really, really important for all of us to remember that when we see people perform and we admire their performances and we like their performances and they are amazing and we are wowed and we are inspired, we need to remember that there's a lot of work that has happened behind the scenes for you to for them to be able to pull together that production or sing as well as they do, right? Play as well as they do. It's very, very important. And we say it now, we need to emulate practice and not performance. Emulate practice and not performance. Very important. Yeah. If you are in charge, ningekuambia turn to your neighbor Well, there are some of you who have neighbors. Turn to your neighbor and tell them, emulate practice and not performance. Hey! Hallelujah. Slap your neighbor. Anyway, we are social distancing, so it is fine. So emulate practice and not performance. And it's fantastic. So we said, the next time you watch an inspiring vocal performance by your favorite singer, or listen to the seminars by your top maestro, seek first to study how they practice to get where they are with their skill and indeed their great performance. That it is important to find out what they do to get to where, or what they've done to get to where they are. And that should inspire you the more, so that you put in the work, you put in the time that is needed for you to be able to achieve what needs to be achieved.